All right, we are back. I didn't drop the biggity bam on
You just said
purpose.
it though.
Yeah.
You said it. That's we can't say it at all.
Well,
It's
anyway,
not
uh,
it's not
I
ours. We can't.
I do what I want. I do what I want. Uh, so this time we have Craig recording us, as well as Giark, who is Craig's evil twin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's the one from like the other dimension that has like the little goatee mustache and
yep.
it's complete opposite. Instead of playing the drums and being charismatic, he has a flute
We
and he just lures children to their deaths.
we've seen the picture of Craig, but I can't remember if he had a goatee. If he had the goatee, then that means Craig is the evil version of Giark, and we should have been using Giark since the beginning.
Yeah, probably. Oh, um, yeah. So we are back.
Yeah.
Um, most of my family has gotten rid of the colds and stuff. We had a. I was gonna cancel my game yesterday because I had some players missing, and my wife got her shot, and then she wasn't feeling good enough to play. So I went to cancel my game, and then I got a message that everyone was able to make the game. So I was like, well, okay, let's do 12 hours worth of game prep in 5 minutes. I got this. I got this. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that sounds real familiar. So the other DM, Johnny, he ran the Oriental Adventures campaign this weekend for the first time, and he is like me. He's a bit of a procrastinator. He's also ADD, so a lot of times we wait till last minute to do shit. So he ended up spending all of Saturday doing everything just to get the game ready to go, even though we've known for like 3 months we were going to play it.
Well, just to let you know, I am here. I am ready to talk about amazing, awesome things, but I'm also shopping for washers and dryers. So there's that.
Yeah, that definitely pertains to D&D somehow.
Yep. Somehow I gotta go shopping and find a shopkeeper that has the washer and dryer that I need, and then I gotta use my charisma checks to always get a discount. Why is it that every fucking party always haggles with the shopkeep? Like
It's yeah, it's a requirement, I think.
it 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 seems to be, but it's not though.
You're going to have one player at least, minimum, one player at least that's going to have a fucking ridiculous charisma score. And that person, whoever it may be, is going to be the one who wants to always haggle.
Right. And so when they haggle, how do you handle the haggle?
Uh it will depend. Like I have certain places, certain cities, certain towns, certain NPCs that will not haggle. They're like, this is the price. Very specifically with Icewind Dale, like whatever the price is, that's the fucking price. There's no haggling.
Yeah.
With my own campaign, a lot of the NPCs just they're not haggling. They're this is the price. If you get into there's a few cities and towns I have uh, NPCs as well that are willing to do the haggling. In that case, I will do an opposed persuasion or deception check, depending. I mean, possibly even intimidation, but that's sort of an outlier. And if I don't, I've never really thought too heavily about it. Generally, it's if you beat the check, then I give you a 10% discount.
Okay.
If you roll like a nat 20, I might even go up for 20% for that sale.
Okay.
I never really go more than that. Now, if you have worked with the NPC, done deeds for them, done jobs for them over the time, are a member of whatever order they're a part of, and so forth, you might even be able to get bigger discounts. But
Hmm.
that's not really haggling. That's just being a part of their organization.
Right.
How do
So
you
yeah.
handle it?
Well, I'm lazy and I don't.
You don't. You just say
No.
no haggling.
Well, I mean, so like with Icewind Dale, it's pretty much set. The book tells you the shopkeepers will,
Yeah,
sell at a higher price unless they do the quest for the town and they sell at a normal price.
yeah. Like Icewind Dale's sort of an outlier in that it
Yeah.
actually has that up front in the book, kind of
Sorry.
how
Yeah,
how
I
stuff is done.
yawned there mid sentence. um, I'm not tired. You're tired.
Yeah.
Um, but no, normally I do just like what you did, just do a charisma check and like give a degree of success. In the Star Wars campaign, that's like all we do. And I was noticing that like we'd go out there and just because how that game is built, like okay, we're gonna find the best deal in town. So he would have us do like an
Hold on,
event.
hold on. Let's be honest. This is not because of how that game is built. This is because of that group of players, and you know it.
Yes, it is because of the group of players are a bunch of grumpy old men that just
I love
want
those guys. They're my friends, but
that
I mean
want
that's
every coin that's ever existed in their pockets and nobody else's. I get that. So going out there and finding the shop is an ordeal, but it's still fun. So like we have to do a check to first find the right shopkeep, and the DM does like a percentage of success on that, and then we stack all the temporary buffs on me so I can do the
oh
charisma
god,
throw.
yeah,
Yeah, and then I end up with like a 40 fucking six. Like, yeah, give me a discount. Okay, roll a D100. Okay, 95. All right, well, you basically buy everything he owns.
yeah.
And
See
it's
that?
just
Yeah, yeah. That's the
eh.
reason that I never will give more than a 20% discount.
So
Yeah, for even for an at 20, you can get up to 20%, no more.
yeah,
Because
it, it,
merchant,
it
go ahead,
it's been
go.
interesting. It's been very interesting how watching that whole thing on play because I would not handle it that way at all. I'd be like, you find shopkeeps and they'll buy it for this,
Yeah,
because because I think I'm kind of blessed in that most of the times I don't have to deal with it because of Adventure League and stuff like that.
sure.
And my group kind of just does the same thing. They want to find a shop. Well, you're in Waterdeep. You're gonna find a shop. It's just gonna take you half a day, you know. And then you do your check and sell it at a rate and plus or minus 5, 10, 15%, what have you. And
Right.
that's simple and it works. There's no real issue.
Yeah, the buying is like I've explained. The selling of goods is done. I do that differently. Like if you're selling mundane items, you get 50%. And same deal if you pass persuasion check or whatever, you can get the added percentage on there.
Right.
Like no, your shopkeepers realistically, you got to make money on the stuff you buy and sell. So
Right.
they're not going to buy that suit of chainmail at 100% value because then they don't make anything. They've just wasted their time.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And I think that's how most people kind of handle it. But at the end of the day, it can just drain a game, and it just happens all the time. And
Yeah,
it's irritating because like you can't go to Lowe's and haggle with the minimum wage employee that's just there to make sure they're shiny.
yeah, but
He
hold
doesn't
on.
care.
You're not wrong, but Lowe's is also a mega corporation. If you go to some backwater places, it is expected for you to haggle for goods. And it's not an American thing. I'm not sure it's really a primarily a European thing. But if you go to some of these other countries, haggling is just a way of life. And up until the last couple of centuries, it was expected. Like everybody haggled. That's how business was done.
Right. And I guess I get that. Like I get that that's like
And as
a,
as
a
D and
culture
D is
to some
yeah, D
things.
and D is based off of a fantasy setting, yeah, or medieval settings, medieval, Renaissance, etc. So yeah, haggling should be expected and should be a part of it if you want to keep any sort of realism.
Yeah. So there's in my homebrew world that in probably 2 decades, if I'm still alive, I'll be able to actually publish it. There is going to be a city that's just a giant bazaar, and haggling is what you do. You have to do it at every single stall, and I'm going to
Hmm.
write some rules to kind of handle it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's going to be very like you press your luck, and if you haggle too much, they won't sell to you at all. Just try back tomorrow. And the reason is because the board game that my world is basically based off of, that's how the bazaar works in that board game. Where like you get there and you get to the bazaar, and it's like, do you want to buy this? You want to buy this? And you say, I want to buy the dog. All right, I want to buy the dog. It's going to cost 95 gold. Haggle. It's going to cost 94 gold. Haggle. 92 gold. Haggle. And then it goes, bang, and then like you can't buy it now. You have to
So
go to
so
your
that
next
is
turn.
that has actually happened to me before.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, so when I was playing the sorcerer, he stupid high charisma, persuasion, deception checks out the yin yang. So I haggled for everything constantly, and that character, like if he was a Forgotten Realms character, he would have been a follower of Joaquin, the god of money. Like that's all he wanted was cash. So we were pretty high level, 20 plus at this point, and we were in Sigil. I don't remember exactly what we were bartering for, but there was something I wanted that was really expensive. So I was bartering, and it was a gold dragon that was selling it to me. And I haggled back and forth for a little bit, and I'm pretty sure I just rolled like a nat one or something on one of the checks at some point. And Gold Dragon's like, "I'm done with you. Get out of my shop."
yeah,
So, so I couldn't haggle anymore. He didn't want anything to do with me,
yeah. Like my character at the LARP is not really involved much with the buying and selling of goods.
nor am I.
Um, but I assume like I'm always there for the other characters doing it. So they're usually like, okay, well I have these contacts, and then I want to get these items. And because I have these contacts and I've done these things for you, I would like the friend rate
Yeah.
and the spreadsheet, and then like, okay, here's the friend rate column. And so it's kind of like, once you check those boxes, these are the discounts you get. Pretty much like how Icewind Dale handles their thing. So I mean, I get a system like that, but I just you hackle all the time everywhere. It's just it's funny to me because that's just not how you live your life. You can't go to Burger King and go, I like a Whopper. Yeah, the 2 for $5. Can you make that 2 for $4?
What about two for 350?
How about if I got three and it only cost me $5.95?
Yep. Yeah.
Uh,
Here in the states, that's not really how we do business. That's not a thing.
Speaking of rolling for a discount and stuff like that, one of the stores here was having their anniversary sale, and you could basically walk in there and you got to roll a d20, and that was the discount you got for that purchase. Now,
Nice.
the rules were you had to have finalized your purchase before the d20 gets rolled. So
Got
you
it.
can't
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna roll a
Yeah.
d20 first. Oh, look, it's a 20. Yeah, I'll take all those dual lands you have there. Yeah, all of them. They're all
Yeah.
mine
No.
now.
No, that makes sense. These are the items you get for said roll. Otherwise, yeah, you
Oh, is that a
just.
full Emerald Crow? Yeah, throw him in too. Just
I mean, yeah, buying Magic the Gathering cards and get a 20% discount seems good to me.
yeah, one of the guys on YouTube that I watch that just buys and haggles Magic cards. Um, because things have been so rough for everybody in the past like year or so, people have liquidated their entire collections to him for like pennies on the dollar, and he's like, I own a lot of basically all the Magic cards that's ever existed right now. So,
Whew.
and I paid 25% of their cost.
And if he got them early enough last year, everything has spiked in price in the last 4 or 5 months. And when I say spiked, I mean doubled in price.
Uh,
So,
he said three numbers when he said my value has increased by, he said 6, 8, 10x.
oh, I
So
believe it. Yeah,
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 uh, it's crazy. But luckily, Dungeon and Dragon books are still just $50 for some
yeah.
reason.
Oh, it hurts me. It kills my soul seeing that they're $50 because I look at my
But they've always
earlier
been fifty
edition.
dollars.
No, no, 5e has always been $50. I look at my earlier editions and most of them were 20.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah. But different companies, different times. Yeah, the value of the dollar has gone way down. Speaking of the price of money going down, and this is a D&D related thing, since we're on the topic of economics, I guess. Do you probably haven't, since you do Forgotten Realms primarily, but have you thought about different coinage? So the campaign I'm working on, there's a whole lot of different city states that the players will be interacting with, and not all of them are on good terms with one another. So each of the city states will probably mint their own type of coin, and there's other coinage they're not going to accept, or if they accept it, you'll have to trade it out at a reduced value. So you bring in 100 gold worth of the florin or whatever from the neighboring city state, and they give you 90% of its value in their currency.
Yeah. So essentially, I wanted to have like three major cities. Um, I wanted to have the I'm just going to call them the refined humans. The refined humans are basically like the Eladrin or high elf society,
Hmm.
for lack of a better explanation, and they have their own currency, which is pretty much um, the buying. They use refined um, the refined like I'm just gonna call them energon cubes, okay,
Okay.
as currency encased in gold, just straight stolen from gold press latinum from
Oh,
Star Trek.
I remember
That's
gold press latinum. Was there an energy inside of it?
well, it's the latinum that's worth value. The gold is
Yeah.
worthless.
Oh,
So
okay.
gold pressed latinum is basically the latinum is there, and the gold is the encasing around it, and that's what has the value is that latinum, not the gold. The gold is useless
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
because they had the Ferengi got so much gold. It's just like, okay, well, this is just dirt now.
Right. Not
Um,
not like here in on Earth where gold is actually quite valuable because there's not enough of it.
right. So they would trade, the purest form of the energy cubes essentially in encased in gold, and that was their currency. So it's pretty much just only them within their society using that. Um, and I would assume there'd places to exchange, gems and precious metals and stuff like that. The
Yeah.
bizarre place would be the very standard copper, silver, gold. I don't know what
What
the
what about
fuck
Electrum?
Electrum. I don't know what the fuck Electrum is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who made it up. But
What about
you're
platinum?
wrong.
Huh? Do you use platinum?
No.
Wait, you actually don't use platinum?
Well, I use platinum because it happens in Forgotten Realms, but you know, at that point in time, it's just a coin above gold just to make gold easier to transport.
Yeah, it's
You
it's the
know,
$100 bill. I mean,
right? Well, no. See, for me, the gold coin is the $100 bill. That's what it should be, and that's not how it is in D&D. You are correct in saying that the platinum is gold, the $100 bill in Dungeons and Dragons world. The gold is like a 20. But to me, the gold piece should be the $100 bill. The silver should be like the 20, and then a
you're
copper should be
yeah,
like a dollar.
you're honestly you're not wrong. So just a rough estimate, if you go to a tavern or whatever, at least in most of my games that I run, you can buy a drink for about a silver piece.
Yeah.
So realistically, you go out to a bar and you start drinking. I mean, that's $5 for a drink, give or take. So I guess the gold piece would be about a $50 bill. So
Yeah.
a $500 bill would be a platinum piece.
So I can see throwing an Electrum to have, ones, fives, tens, twenties, you know,
Hmm.
or fives, fifties, and the hundreds. And I can get that. But I just like the simplicity of a three-tier currency: copper for the poor, silver for the middle class, upper middle class, and then gold for like the fancy rich folk. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah,
Like
like
I'm interested in adding in the different styles of currency, but at the same time, I know that's going to complicate the shit out of my game.
well, so here's the thing: is the third city that I've imagined. Um, they don't have currency. They don't have a concept of currency. Everyone has the role that they do in the grand city, um, and most of it is farming the natural resources in the all Underdark, and they basically just trade that out to the Bazaar City and the refined city for other goods and products to kind of supplement their lives. And they just basically, as a community, a massive community, you know, feed
Yeah,
themselves, clothe themselves, house themselves, and just party and sing and dance all the
they're
time.
they are communist with a bartering system for the outside world.
Yeah, essentially, I guess.
I mean,
Um,
that's what you just described.
they're very dwarf-like in nature, where like they're just very always like happy and communal and just drinking and whatnot.
Wait, did you
Um,
just that's not dwarves you described. That's like Smurfs you described.
right. I'm saying from just a work ethic standpoint. They're
Oh,
just
okay.
there to do jobs, and when they're done with the jobs, just drink ale until they pass out, and then get up in the morning and do it again. That's all they want to do.
All
And
right.
they're very positive. They're very happy. They're very friendly. They don't really have like a bad bone in their body at all. But they're the ones that can withstand the um, toxicity of the stuff that they farm, and the stuff that they farm when it gets refined is super powerful, and or can run massive machines and or do other kind of crazy things. So it's
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. I
yeah.
see that as sort of a similarity to dwarves.
Yeah. So that's kind of the idea behind them. So they don't really have a currency. It's just like, oh, do you need a bed? I have a bed. Here's a bed. So when the adventurers go down to kind of like, do quests for them or stuff like that, they're just kind of like, oh yeah, here's a long sword. It's a +1. Just have fun with it. You're good.
Yeah, this idea of communal living is not an American concept by any means.
No,
Everybody has to have their own house. You got to have your own room. Most of us want our own bathroom separate. Like, yeah,
yeah,
the idea of just everybody owns everything is so off-putting. And
yeah.
for honestly, it makes great for a fantasy setting. It's very important to have sort of unique societies.
Yeah.
If everything is the same style of society, it's not a fantasy game.
So yeah, that's kind of how I've handled it. But like I said, if I was just to make something up, I'd always just go with the bronze, silver, and gold.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mean copper?
Yeah,
Yeah,
copper, silver, and
yeah.
gold.
Like I do. Yeah, I just generally do copper, silver, gold, and platinum. Electrum, I don't bother with it. It's just adding. I wouldn't mind it if it was a 10 piece, but it's a 50 cent piece basically. It's a half, which just when everything else is a 10 of, and then you
No,
had
it's
in
it's it's a
no,
10 piece. It's worth
no.
10 silver.
Electrum is equal half a gold. A gold is 10
Yeah,
silver. See, now we're gonna look it up.
we're both wrong.
Are we?
Yeah. Well, you said it's half a gold. Um, it's 5 silver pieces.
Right. So half a gold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So gold is the 10 piece.
Right. Everything else is done as a 10 piece. So 10 copper equals a silver. 10 silver equals a gold. 10 gold equals a platinum. But Electrum is a half piece.
Okay. Yeah.
It takes two Electrums to equal one gold. So it's just sort of out of the ordinary. It doesn't fit its role.
I blame Waterdeep.
I blame first edition Dungeons and Dragons because that's where
No,
Electrum came from.
I blame Waterdeep because they named all the things weird.
Oh, did they? How so?
Like a gold piece isn't called a gold piece; it's called a dragon.
Oh yeah, okay. So what we were just talking about, yeah, Waterdeep has its own currencies,
Yeah. And so like if you have a gold piece, they'll accept it, but it's not a dragon. So
right? And
you're
you can trade
you're
it in for a dragon, but you're going to get 90% of the value of it.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I love doing that. I love that idea, but I'm also sort of dreading if I do that for all the different cities because at that point I've got a bunch of different currencies to keep up with. It's just it adds more. While it makes the setting more real, it also just adds a lot more work.
Yeah. When I write like the book and like how much stuff is worth, it's gonna be in the standard Dungeons and Dragons 5e value methods, just because that's what people are familiar with. So I'm not gonna mess with it, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the bazaar will basically be the place you can trade stuff out at that level, and then I'll have the conversion chart for gold to gold pressed energon cubes.
You got to come up with a better name though.
I don't want to say what they are because it ruins a lot of the story.
Well, you have to come up with a better name.
No,
You don't have.
I have the better name. I know
Yeah, I'm
exactly
just
what they are.
energon cubes is obviously not going to work.
No, yeah, I know that. Like I said, I know what the real thing is, but I'm being vague because I don't want to release
I
this
understand.
the story.
But I mean, you could call them like gold pressed gorns or something. Just make up a word, and
Well,
that could be the
no, I
name of
have
it.
like I'm saying I have the word.
I
I just
got you.
can't
Okay,
say the
so
word.
so as soon as you write this thing up, the word you don't want to say that will give away what they are will be
Hmm.
in that write up.
Hmm.
So it's not really hidden from society as at large. It's just hidden from everybody who's listening to this podcast right now.
Yeah, because it's not written down, not final.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's like any homebrew. Like I started off with an idea, and then it spiraled out of control, and I put it away for a little while, and now I'm doing it again. Now I'm putting it away for a little while, and you know,
Oh no, I get it. I've been working diligently getting my next homebrew set up. I spent a couple hours I actually was writing today. Like I pulled out pen and pad and was actually writing. You know me. That's a fucking achievement.
what the hell
Um,
is a pen?
it's how you do Dungeons and Dragons.
D&D Beyond's character sheet. And
Yeah. So for a lot of us who play in person very soon again,
I played in person. I never used a what was this called? A when?
that thing that you used when you were in middle school, actually they
A
probably made you
crayon?
write with. Okay, well for you, you might have been in middle school still using crayons. Uh, it might be an upstate New York thing. I don't know.
I can write
Uh,
my name, and I can write my dog's name.
I see you now. Like you're like whole handed, just holding the crayon, got your tongue sort of sticking out of the side of your mouth as you try to write your name. It just
The
lost in
backwards
deep
C.
in deep thought.
My daughter writes your name. She writes MAD, and then does basically a return to the next line and writes DIE. So it's Mad Die.
Mad die.
Like, no, it's got to be the one line. And she writes it all in one line, and the D's are backwards.
Uh, but she's what, 4 at
Yeah.
this point? Yeah, can't expect too much. Not gonna be writing whole sentences yet.
She does it on purpose, though, because she goes, like, they're backwards. Like,
Oh,
she
okay.
says it every time. She goes, they're backwards B's. And then she writes them backwards. It's adorable.
Kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, damn, I already lost thought. Oh yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I was actually writing down stuff because I've got a lot in my head, just tons and tons of information in my head, and I know if I wait until the last minute and actually get there to run things, I will forget things. But having them written down so I can look at them, kind of important.
Yeah.
And these, of course, will probably never see the light of day as far as a campaign actually goes, other than for my table.
Well, it is what it is. I mean, if you do write it down and you get it on there, you should publish it. Everyone should publish all their stuff. I mean, it's out there. DM's Guild is out there. If you can get there and you can edit, I've seen a lot of people that have published a lot of stuff on DM's Guild. If you have a basic understanding of what a table of contents is, you can publish something on DM's Guild.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Not the most difficult thing in the world.
if
Me
you if you
when I
spend about $15, you can buy the templates and everything already done for you. You just kind of fill in the blanks.
yeah When I write D&D though, when I write my D&D stuff, it's notes basically. Like everything I wrote today is nothing more than notes. If anyone else looks at it, it's not going to make any damn sense. Like there's no real structure to it, but it's notations for me that I can just quickly see and be like, that's right, that's what I need to be doing.
Well, I mean that's what it is. That's what all every
Yeah.
writing project that I've had. It's like, all right, we're in this meeting. All right, here are the notes, and then it's just then sitting down at the desk, arranging the notes in a logical order, and then having the
And then
developers come in and fill
and
in
then
the
actually
gaps.
filling everything in. Yeah. That's the part I never actually ever get to. It's all notes forever. I never actually do the final write up of anything.
You know, it just takes a little bit of practice, but you can
Yeah.
do it.
Uh, so other topic that I had that I wanted to go over. So the Oriental campaign that we started last night, right out of the gate, we get into it with some bandits, and the barbarian rushes off, does barbarian things, starts beating the hell out of somebody. I go the opposite direction because the bandits are sort of spread out. So I head to this other bandit, and on my turn, instead of attacking, I draw my blade. As a bonus action, I can set it on fire because I'm the Kensai from the Oriental Adventures campaign, and one of the archetypes they can do that. And I point the blade at him, and basically I tell him, "Lay down your sword, and you might live." Now at this point, the dungeon master has to figure out what to do. Yeah, I want to know how you handle morale, like for enemies.
Uh, in what sense?
Well, in that sense, I threatened this guy. I set my blade on fire as a magical ability,
Uh huh.
and the our DM had to make a decision as to how does that guy react. We're in a hostile situation, but he can very quickly tell he's probably outmatched. In the case of that scenario, he actually Johnny made a roll. I don't know what the roll was specifically, and the guy dropped his blade and surrendered, as opposed to actually trying to fight with me. I had given him the option of you might live, as opposed to you will certainly die.
I mean, what from what you described, you basically did an intimidation check with extra flair.
I did make an intimidation check on that. Yes.
Right. So I mean, just intimidation check rules. I mean, so in back in the back in the yesteryear when fourth edition was new, um, Chris Perkins was playing with the guys from Penny Arcade, and Jim Dark Magic wanted to use prestidigitation to make himself get bigger, make the room darker. Essentially, the same scene from Lord of the Rings, where Gandalf was like, "Frodo Baggins," and why would
Yep.
I, blah blah blah, where the room got dark and small, and Gandalf got big. He used prestidigitation to do that. That was the intimidation check. So he's like, "Can I use my Arcana in place of my charisma or intimidate to do the
Yeah.
intimidation check?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And then when fourth edition got released, that was a utility skill that the wizard could pick up, is to actually use Arcana or use intelligence, or no, sorry, I think it was use Arcana as an intimidation check.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe do that because you use your magic instead. But at the end of the day, it's still an intimidation check. Um, I think in fourth edition you had the monster had to be bloodied for it to have any effect, or like the last creature if you wanted to be kind of have some flair with it. Um,
See, fifth edition is very like there's no real rules for how to handle morale in combat or out of combat. I actually the reason I even thought of this is I was scrolling back through old books as I tend to do in my second edition books, and it has an entire like 2 pages on morale, and there's actually charts that will determine if you're just trying to randomly, say you've got a random encounter. and the charts can help you determine whether it's a hostile situation, a neutral situation, whether it's a friendly situation, and that also helps. You can determine this off of how the enemies feel as opposed to how the players are feeling, and
Hmm.
then it gives you modifiers depending on what's happening. So you don't make like these rolls every single time, but if you're in a fight and say one side, yeah, or say the enemies have lost 25% of their guys, at that point you might actually have to make a morale check just to see if they break ranks and decide to run. And yeah, like fifth
S-
edition just doesn't have anything on that. It doesn't even even
ex-
intimidation doesn't give you anything.
except for the whole chapter of morale in the DMG.
I have never seen it, and I was looking for it recently. So
So,
if,
um, intimidation. The description of it is when you attempt to influence someone through overt threats, hostile actions, or physical violence, a DM might ask you to make a charisma intimidation check. Examples include trying to pry information out of a prisoner, convincing a street thug to back down from a confrontation, your scenario, uh, or using the edge of a broken bottle to convince a sneering visor to reconsider a decision. Now, it doesn't say what to do to check against when you intimidate somebody, um, and I think it should be a contested, a contestant thing, probably against their charisma
mhm.
or something along those lines. And it may mention that someplace. I'm just not finding it right now.
Yeah, it
But it,
definitely doesn't mention it in the player's handbook in the section on intimidation. Like,
right, but it's still, but the morale section does.
see, I've
So,
never seen this morale section. If you can find that, let me know where that's at.
well, I have it up on D&D Beyond. I don't know where it is in the chapter 9. It looks like.
Okay.
Um, so morale is when some combatants may run away when a fight turns against them. You can use the option rule to determine when monsters flee. It gives a bunch of examples of when they may flee, or if there's like a group of monsters and their leader dies first,
Hmm.
they could flee. To determine whether a creature or group of creatures flee, make a DC 10 Wisdom saving throw for each creature. If the opposition is overwhelming, the saving throw is maybe disadvantage, or you can decide that it fails automatically. On a failed save, the affected creature group flees by the most expeditious route. If escape is impossible, the creature or group surrenders. I mean, that's a very low threshold. I don't see.
Yeah, that's
A,
ridiculously low.
I can see that maybe for like a group of goblins,
Yeah.
or kind of like
Yeah.
doing a group, have it be a group morale check, and that's the DC, and many will pass. Um, but
Yeah, like encounters in general can have a lot of different outcomes depending on what they are. You, like I was saying earlier, every scenario is a little different. Are the players acting aggressive or are the enemies not hostile? Uh,
right,
you just have to think of all of these different things in every single scenario. And just assuming everybody is hostile, that absolutely seems like a very, very low threshold for nearly anything.
so
Some
yes,
some monsters wouldn't even care about morale. Yeah, if you're if you're getting attacked by a bear that's defending its cubs, there's not probably not even going to be a morale check.
right. So in fourth edition, intimidate's pretty much the same thing. You can do an intimidation check against somebody. So it's your intimidate score, which is you roll and add your modifier to it, versus their will. And so in fourth edition, it was every you had AC, you had will, constitution, and dexterity, and those had a value assigned to them, and that was like what people had to hit or meet or beat for an attack to land. There weren't saving throws.
Hmm.
So if you were like a wizard or a cleric, you'd have high will, but if you were a goblin, your will would be lower. So you just basically roll an attack with an intimidating attack against their will, um, and on success, you force a bloody target to surrender, or they reveal secrets against their will, um, or a cow a target into taking some other action. In failure in combat, you can't try again until during the same encounter. Um, and if you fail, the creature becomes hostile towards you. So there is something to be said too for doing an intimidating check against somebody and making them fight you if you won, and if it failed, they still fight you. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yep, and that's another thing that I'm not a huge fan of in fifth edition is the fact that in like the character I'm playing in that game is 5 foot nothing and 130 something pounds, but I probably had a higher intimidation than the gigantic person that was in the group who's who's literally Chris Waple's size.
yeah, but I mean, like, if you have a flaming sword and they don't like
Yeah, but
fire, then
but he has that intimidation whether there's a flaming sword or nothing, or if he's just standing there,
yeah,
half naked. Like it makes no difference. I still have that modifier to it.
some people just have that presence about them where they just stand there and they look threatening. You know,
Yeah, I guess
I mean,
yeah, he's Napoleon.
have you walked down a grocery store and parents kind of like hide their children as you walk by?
No,
Okay,
no.
well, I've experienced that quite a bit.
Thus making my point even more valid. The giant person has that natural intimidation factor.
Which always pissed me off too, because like
Oh, it should.
if
I mean,
if
it's
I'm a fighter, okay, I'm trained in intimidation, but that's still not going to mean shit when charisma is useless for me. It's going to be a dump stat, at maybe 10. You know,
yeah,
I'm not going to put a high number in there. So
no,
why is intimidate
a
tied to
charisma stat. Yeah,
charisma? It should
yep.
be tied to
Strength probably.
strength. You know, and that's why I've been leaning a lot more to having strength intimidate, or like in the Rime of the Frostmaiden, having that strength arcana check for the rune knight when it came to runic magic. It just made sense.
Yeah, like
And
Icewind Dale was the first time I had seen any skills getting utilized with other stats because there
yeah,
was the strength or there was like a rune check or something utilizing strength as opposed to arcana, which I'd never seen anything like that before. It was new,
yeah, yeah, and
and it makes sense. Like it makes
yeah,
sense to do that.
and that should happen more.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I don't want to make it I wouldn't want to make it a hard rule all the time, but there are absolutely scenarios where it should be used. The strength intimidation just fucking makes sense.
Yeah,
If you are
because
7 feet tall and 400 pounds, you are more intimidating than somebody half that size.
right. Um, and I think we talked about this in detail in the previous podcast, so I'm not gonna dwell on it too much more. But it's just like it just makes sense. If an ogre walks through the town, everybody's scared of it. you don't
Yeah.
you don't need a roll. Everybody's scared of it. Everyone's failed a DC 10 save and they're running away. Their morale's been broken.
I mean, if you see a fucking wyvern, he shouldn't even have to try to be intimidating. He's a fucking dragon thing with a stinger, yeah, tail. That's intimidating. If that flies into your town, people are gonna fucking run for the hills, man.
We My wife ran today away from a hornet. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and hornets are tiny. Even I run the fuck away from those things.
Yeah. Uh, so
Yeah.
I think the last thing we wanted to talk about was a topic I've been trying to talk about for a while now,
Oh,
and
did you finally remember?
I always remember. Um, it was pretty much I want to talk about the character of a group that is the moral compass to the group. That if that person were to be removed, the party somehow immediately turns evil and starts causing chaos throughout the lands. Um, my favorite example is from Justice League Unlimited. I think it was Unlimited, or maybe it was the first Justice League, where Lex Luthor kills the Flash, and like that was the tipping point for Superman to go bad, and
Yeah,
everyone else to kind of go bad and just start killing people. Like the Flash ultimately was the guy that was the voice of reason, the voice of unshakable moral goodness in the group. Where some of them were just like very willing to kind of bend the rules, or when people are very down, they were always there to kind of send that quippy joke or be
Yeah.
the joker of the party, to not joker, but the
Y-
class clown of the party
On
to.
the Justice League thing, you've seen the new one, right? The Zack Snyder cut.
Yeah.
So hashtag spoilers. Although this is spoilers from the movie, but it's not spoilers of anything that actually really happens in the film. But if you care about a very minor spoiler, you might want to skip the next minute. But yeah, in a similar manner, they Bruce Wayne, I think, is getting visions from the future, and he mentions that she is the key or some shit like that. Very obviously, it's talking about how to prevent Superman from going evil. You have to save Lois Lane. And they haven't done this in the film, but I have the feeling if they continue doing the Justice League films, that's going to be the scenario they have to prevent. To keep him
Mm,
from turning evil, you have to make sure Lois Lane lives.
yeah. A couple of good examples is Hawkeye for the Avengers, the MCU franchise. That Hawkeye is always kind of like making jokes, but always kind of being the moral
Yeah, but
grounding point for all of them.
Captain
Um,
America is too, though.
well, Cap went one way and everybody else went the other way, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, Clint's the one that has the family farm out there. He's the one that's
That is fair.
present
Yeah,
in the everyday. That's when
he is
he's
the
not.
every guy. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, when he everyone who saved Hawkeye dies. Everyone. So, and in Icewind Dale, it was my wife's first character, the cleric, the lawful good cleric that was the one who was going to keep them on track, and her dying 4 episodes in to Icewind Dale set the party down a path that was just brutal, for lack
Yeah,
of a better sense. Have you
yeah.
had any characters like that?
Oh, for the love of God, yes. I am usually, I am. Oh, okay, I can think of two scenarios recently. One of them where I would have been one of the villains if a certain character had died, and the other one I was the moral compass for the group. So the sorcerer that I talk about all the time, Mikhail, for that campaign, I was pure neutral. He only cared about money, but he was loyal to his friends and all. But that whole group was borderline evil. Like we didn't really do evil stuff, but man, it wouldn't have been hard to push us that way. And we had a paladin with us, and that paladin was absolutely the moral center of that group. If that character had ever died off, yeah, there's absolutely the chance that that whole party turns evil, or at least starts doing more things that are borderline. But because of the paladin, sort of, he's kind of like the babysitter of the group. There was even one situation where we needed information and we were having a real hard time finding out the information, and our paladin and all of us are sitting in the bar, and he's just going on and on and on, and he talks for about 15 minutes or so, and then he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to go back to my place and go to bed. So the paladin leaves the bar, and immediately after he leaves the bar, I just look at the rest of the group and I'm like, okay, now that the paladin's gone, let's go talk to the lich. Just not even giving a shit that the lich is pure evil. He's the fucking major bad guy, but he had information that we needed. So no paladin around. All right, let's go do some evil shit.
Yeah. And we have
Uh,
a few of those people at the LARP too, like a few
oh yeah, fuck
characters that
yeah,
are in town are like, well, this one person says not to do it, so because they said not to do it, we're not going to do it. Our group doesn't.
yeah. No, we have no moral center in that game. Uh, the other one was the Maw campaign, the All Undead one. I was playing a character named Garvin. He was a dragonborn wizard, but he was neutral good as far as alignments go. And we had one evil character in that party, and that character he kept killing innocent individuals. And finally, after like the third time, I'd had enough. I know I talked about the PvP situation on here recently, so I'm not going to rehash it. But like, I managed to get the whole party to sort, or at least enough of them to help me kill that fucking character. I'm here to kill evil, goddammit. Here to chew bubblegum and kill evil. All out of gum.
I've always wanted to play that lawful stupid paladin though.
Yeah, you've
Yeah,
talked
just
about it before.
yeah.
It could be fun.
I need to do a one shot.
No, you need to play it a one shot. Don't run it. You need someone to run it for you. That way you can actually play the damn character.
But I have so much fun DMing.
Well, yeah, you are one of the very few forever DMs that I know.
Yeah,
Most DMs I know, they swap in and out. Not you.
it's weird because like on one hand, like I really enjoy being a player at the game, but I'm not in control of things at the end of the
Mhm.
day. So like I have to really trust the DM that I'm playing with, and more often than not, I'm not going to trust some random asshole to play. Maybe it was an adventure league because it's very rules heavy and like very straight. You just do raw and nothing else. You
Yeah,
know, it's fairly easy to kind of play like my fighter or my sorcerer in that scenario, and it's just a combat simulator more than is anything else. Um, but like there are situations like where I would have made a call differently than the other DM, you know,
sure.
and um, like but at the end of the day they're not wrong either, because it's really just the DM wanting to do things. Um, uh, One of my players, Mike, he ran a one shot for us,
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
I was playing the not a lawful good paladin, but I was playing a paladin, and
Were you a
I
paladin of vengeance?
no, I don't remember what kind of paladin it was. I honestly don't remember anything about that character anymore, other than I didn't have a god, and I just basically got my powers through um,
Vengeance?
being a knight in the Dwarven clan, Um, and I use an ability that basically is like you taunt the target and impose disadvantage on their attacks. It's an action. So if they attack anyone else but you, they get disadvantage.
Yeah,
The intent of the spell is that the target then turns around and hits you because you've mocked them into attacking you with magical powers. And Mike was playing. I think the NPC was a raging barbarian, and he still attacked the other target that he was attacking instead of turning around and dealing with the paladin that just mocked them.
right.
Um, and that
But
that annoyed me, but he wasn't wrong.
yeah,
you
the
know,
ability does not force them to attack you. And if he's a barbarian,
right?
uh, he
Laser
might want to
focus
take
on the
out.
target.
He can laser focus on the target, and he has reckless attack, so he'll still be attacking straight as opposed
Right.
to at disadvantage. So
So he, by all means, he wasn't wrong. It annoyed me because I would have rewarded the player for doing that and still turned the barbarian around. You
right,
know, and I'm sure there's probably a scenario where I've done the exact same thing he did. Where I kind of just went, oh well, just like he called me out for
yeah.
not giving him that advantage on the deck save.
Anybody who DMs long enough is a hypocrite, whether they mean to be or not.
Yeah,
Like we just are. I've definitely talked about things here on the podcast that I tell people not to do that I've absolutely fucking done before myself.
yeah,
Some of it obviously if I've talked about it and say don't do it on the podcast, I'm definitely going to be trying not to do it. And some of it I might have done in the past and learned from my mistakes, so I don't do it. But
yeah.
you can't be perfect on every scenario.
And see, that's the thing that gets me is like there is an untold amount of anxiety that I have to experience leading up to DMing a game.
Hmm. I go
And
through it too. Yep.
yeah, I think most DMs go through it. I usually get I work my way through it by prepping for the game, you know, and that kind of helps alleviate that stress. And then when I'm doing the game, having a lot of fun. But I'm always thinking about, okay, what am I messing up right now? you know. Um, so like last game, I just was, because it was like, it was like quasi can it was canceled in my mind because we were missing some players, and then my wife got sick, and I was like, okay, we are canceled. And then everyone was like, but we're gonna be there now. And I was like, okay, so we're not canceled, and just my wife will be missing.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, now I gotta do all the prep work a
That you
couple
could have
hours
been doing
before.
all day, but why would you since you're not playing? No, I've
Right.
been there. It sucks.
And then like, so like I'm just scrambling to do everything, and then I had a special guest on. Uh, I had Bruce from Bruce Burkhart that we interviewed on. He came in and played an NPC, but he's never played Fifth Edition, so I kind of had to coach him through a couple of the things. I only had like 5 minutes to talk with him to prep him for the surprise appearance.
Fortunately, he knows how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and 5e's not super
Yeah,
complicated. So
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, attack you roll to attack and roll, hit the
yeah, roll
AC.
attack, roll to do damage. It's pretty simple with what he was playing at least.
And then like the game goes great, and then just like every other time I finish playing a game, we're done. I lean back in my chair, like all the stress and anxiety kind of goes away. I'm happy for like 15 seconds, and like I'm satisfied with what I did and what I done. And then all the negative things, you could have done this better, floods in. So like I do it all for that 15 seconds of just like, yeah, I did a good game. And then it's just like overwhelming negativity.
Yeah, I am very fortunate, and I don't have that aspect. I never do. Like there's minor stress leading up to the game. Am I prepared? Uh, I have to I have to herd the cats. I have to be the one in charge, but it's pretty minor as far as that goes. And once the game is over, I don't ever really question what I did wrong, what I could have done better. Uh, I know in my head whether I could have done something better or if
Yeah.
I've done something wrong, but I damn sure never beat myself up over that.
And that's the worst part. It's like it all went well. It was fine. It was a great game. So,
Yep.
you know, it's just
My
something
stress,
that's just like,
yeah, my stress comes from, oh God, now I have to prepare again next week.
I don't want to do it again. Oh, I got to
I,
do it again.
I love dungeon mastering. I love telling my stories. At the same time, it requires work and effort. It's so much easier just being a player.
I think it's more stressful.
For being a player, oh, not for
Yeah.
me, not even remotely. I have no stress being a player.
Because like I'm when I'm a player, man, I'm not like, okay, I plan out, okay, when my turn is done, okay, here's the next 10 possibilities of things that I can do. And then I have to listen to every single person do their thing and wreck every single plan that I had until it gets chiseled down to like 2 or 3 options. And at the end of the day, you're a fighter. You should just stand there and hit
Yeah,
again,
yeah. If you're
hit a
playing a
third.
fighter, your options are fairly limited.
It shouldn't be stressful, but it always is for some reason.
Yeah, you know me. I play casters, so I can have my plan and it will get wrecked. Like without a doubt, somebody's going to move where I don't need them, so I can't drop that AOE. Oh, look, a bad guy that I was planning on hitting with a spell is now gone, so there's no point in casting this one that would hit those 3 targets. I can lower the level of the spell. Like there's so many fucking things you have to plan for and think of as casters, as opposed
Yeah.
to a fighter of, oh, yeah. I think the only thing that could happen really changing plan of a fighter is if if something happens to you, or if somebody you were going to attack is not there anymore.
Yeah. I always mess up concentration spells. That's always been something that
As
I lose in the process of doing things. So like in this last game, this is the first time they've come across greater invisibility.
yeah,
So the mage cast it on the dwarf, and the dwarf was like, "All right, I go first because I'm a dwarf with super high ability, and I'm gonna stab the the cleric, and I crit, and I did all the crit damage for the weapon, which was like a short sword, so it was only like 2d6 plus whatever.
mhm.
But then they had a poison on that, which he failed the save on, so that doubled everything. Um, but then I don't think you're supposed to double the save. I don't remember that on the crit or not. But I forgot to do sneak attack. I just didn't do sneak attack die for some reason
Yeah,
during that turn.
on a crit, you double all the dice rolled.
Right, but it's the hit, and the hit
If
causes a
if it,
save.
no, if it's dealing damage and it's
Okay,
part of that crit, yeah, you double all the dice. That's how I
that's that's
understand.
that's
So,
what I thought, and that's what I did. Except I forgot to forgot to apply sneak attack.
oh,
So I still did like 40 something damage, but it would have been like plus
see, yeah,
8d6 that I forgot to do.
lucky
And
them.
then so then was like the mage was next. The mage is the one that cast great invisibility. So then I was like, oh, I'm gonna cast slow on the party.
Yep. Yeah, so the invisibility would drop and the slow would take over.
Yeah, I forgot to drop the invisibility.
Oops.
Well, everyone saved from the slow. When we
Yeah.
were talking about it, you were like, "Oh well, I'm going to cast slow, and then they're all going to get stuck with slow, and then they're all going to die." No, they all fucking passed, and it was like
No,
a
that's good.
DC
That's because
16.
you. That's because the DM was rolling it.
I don't roll their saves,
You know what I mean. That's because the DM was casting it. That's how this works, man. You know this.
so I mess
No,
it
I
up
mean,
all the time.
slow is a very powerful spell, but if you make your saves, it's useless.
Yeah, but we had a good time. It was worth it. I mean, it was worth it at the end, and uh, I'm already thinking about the next one and the next game and what to do 2 months from now and what to run afterwards. And
Yeah, I get one more week of playing, and then I get to run Icewind Dale until that is wrapped up. And after that, we should be meeting back in person or close to meeting back in person.
I think
Can't
we're caught up to you guys too, or
you're
will
all
be in the session.
you're very close. Yeah, you're behind me like one session, I think.
Well, with the way my party goes, I'll probably spend 4.5 weeks in the single
Yeah, you're
cave.
not wrong. But it was one game session for me. It will probably be 2 to 3 for you. It's fine. My
So,
players run through shit.
so last thing, and I know we're kind of running long. I always raid another channel on Twitch afterwards. So I raided this group called Second Shift Protagonist on Twitch and on Facebook, just Facebook or Twitch Second Shift Protagonist, and they're going through and they're kind of doing their game, whatnot, and they're all excited. Everyone kind of they got rated and everything, and they're a good group of guys. And they were kind of doing this like puzzle in the room with a bunch of skulls. Or sorry, no, they're a bunch of gargoyle faces, and the room was like filling with water. And I've been in similar traps and I've run similar traps, and just kind of just like seeing it from the outside perspective where you have no like feedback as a player or a DM on it. You're like, I'm just sitting there even like just plug the holes, just take off cloak, something, just plug the
Yeah.
holes, plug the holes, plug the holes. I'm just sitting
You,
there like,
you start thinking of all the scenarios of what you would do as a player to get
right.
out of the trap. Yeah. Yep.
And like, I want to start smashing rocks and stuffing them in the holes. Like, hey, that's a great idea, but you can't smash rocks because you're underwater. it's it was very entertaining listening to them and just kind of like seeing the hijinks from a different side. So hopefully
Yeah.
that's
See.
what people get when they watch our stream. Just like eye rolls of like, oh my god, I would have done it this way instead.
Yeah. See. I know you don't watch a lot of other D&D streams, but that might be yeah, it might be something to think about. Checking out some other smaller streams and picking up ideas or just seeing how they do things. I know you've looked at some of them just to sort of set your own channel. Uh,
Yeah, I looked at enough to realize what I would want to see as a player. When they did everything in this session, just theater of the mind, and I was actually paying attention to what was going on. I just didn't have it on in the background.
mhm.
So it was very entertaining. But I still
What were
would.
they called again? So everybody can check them out.
It's Second Shift Protagonists, Facebook.com or Twitch.tv forward
Check them out on
slash.
Twitch. Make sure to follow.
Yeah,
Make sure to spread the podcast so we get more people listening as well. Tell everybody about it.
you can't shill us at the very end. That's
I
what
do
the
what I
outro
want.
is for.
I did.
We
It's
have an
gonna.
outro that does that specifically.
It will shill us also. Hey, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and drop that phrase that I like. What is it again?
I have no idea. I forget about it.
You ruined it.
What's what's
Ruined it.
what's what's the catchphrase from Sluggo from Futurama? Wiggly whip bam wobble. You could try
Maybe.
that one.
Wiggly whoop bam wobble.
Something I don't know.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. Check us out on Facebook at
There's no at in Facebook. It's just facebook.com/Grumpy Dungeon Masters.
and on Twitter
That'd be at Grumpy_DMs,
and on Instagram.
at Grumpy Dungeon Masters,
And also be sure to follow us on Twitch.
twitch.tv/Grumpy Dungeon Masters, where we play Rime of the Frostmaiden every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Fuck yeah.